friends, long time no see. Spending a beautiful fall day here in Florida. Getting back to the roots of one of the things that I wanted to do when we started this channel. Given the current state of the world, the economy, tariffs and such, the question surfaced is, can you get a decent sipping scotch for cheap? The offering today is Barrowman's Superior 12-year-old blended Scotch whiskey. Had this one sitting in my bar for a while. I have cracked it open just to give it a chance to breathe and sampled it early on. And for this, it's a blended Scotch whiskey, so it's not a blended malt. It's both a blend of grain whiskeys and malt, but aged 12 years, and this came in right at $29.99, which was right under the bar that I would consider to be bottom shelf. To compare and contrast, something I still consider to be kind of affordable, a nice Bruichladdich Classic Laddie. This is a nice single malt. Still, again, relatively inexpensive. Most places that have it around 50 bucks. Not heavily peated if you haven't had it before. I think it's a very friendly, approachable, but not pretentious single malt. Good sipping whiskey. So we're going to give these two a try. Now, there's not an awful lot on the Barrowmans here. It's 40% ABV, so right at the minimum of what it can be. I know a lot in the whiskey world think that more flavors will come out of a whiskey once it hits that 43, 46, sometimes even higher percentage. Nice screw cap. Fine hallmark of a quality whiskey. And right off the bat, pretty pale. Not a sign that I consider worrisome, considering that Scotches always use barrels, but probably not one that they gave coloring to. Given the 12-year age, I would expect it to be a little bit darker. And I'm glad I did give this a chance to crack open and air a little bit. It's still mostly full, taking just a tiny bit out of that, but not the most fragrant Scotch I've ever had. And at least to me, one of the enjoyable parts of Scotch is the nose. Being able to sit, let it breathe, air out a little bit, and really enjoying the nose. This, a little sweet. Maybe some dark fruits, but it's very subtle. Little wood notes, tiny bit of maybe some acetone. It's not the most welcoming nose, not terrible, but not something I would celebrate either. On the tasting, pretty much more the same. Some standard barrel flavors. Little warmth. Not as sweet on the taste as it is on the nose. Not unpleasant. The closest thing I can compare this to is this is a more refined, slightly better tasting Johnnie Walker Red. To me, it's very similar. It's not as thin. It's got more body to it, but the flavor profile a little similar. It doesn't have the same metallic taste that Johnnie Walker Red gives me. Very slight smoke, more of an ashy than smoky, but again, very subtle, not strong. A little bit of a warmth when you sip it, but not bad. If I sat down in a bar or in an airport lounge and ordered Scotch, and this is what they gave me, considering that it's not a Scotch place, that's about what I would the best that I would expect. In comparison, the Bruichladdich. Now this is a no age statement. Color actually a little bit lighter than the Barrowmans, so who knows? Maybe they do put a little coloring in it. Softer, less sweet on the nose. something akin to suede leather. No fruitiness comes out in this at all. Just very subtle leather grain notes. Mm-hmm. But it comes out in the flavor. The mouthfeel markedly better. It's thicker, an oilier, richer presentation, which is one of the things I really like about Scotch. Slightly more of a peaty note to it, more peppery. Just like with the nose less sweet, the palate less sweet as well. There's a reason this guy's a fairly popular whiskey above and beyond the price. That's quality dram. Depending on what your palate is and what you're in the mood for. But for a lightly peated sipping whiskey, that hits the spot. That's not bad. Of these two, considering I can get the Barrowmans for approximately $20, maybe more or less, would I replace the Bruichladdich with it? No. The Bruichladdich is just a step above when it comes to the palate. The mouthfeel, the overall experience and enjoyability of sipping it. However, would I be disappointed if I got the Barrowmans? Absolutely not. I gotta finish this off. It's not bad. Not the best I got in my collection, but not bad. But the Barrowmans, that's a worthy glass. I would not be ashamed if I had some friends come over and I poured them a little drop of this. One more time, just a tiny bit to compare and contrast again. Now, I have not, in my limited research, seen that this was really used much for cocktails, but I could see this making a fine highball. I would much prefer this over some of the standard mixing whiskeys like Johnny Walker Red. I would really put this on par with maybe a Monkey Shoulder. It's been a while since I've had Monkey Shoulder, so that could change later on if I had a bottle of it. There's a slight flavor in there I can't quite put my finger on. The biggest contrasting is the Bruichladdich has more peat presence. The addition of grain makes this a much thinner mouthfeel and a little bit sweeter. Not bad, depending on what your palate is. Other than Monkey Shoulder, I would put this a step below some of the other blends, like some of the Compass Box, the Great King Street, or the Artist blends. But again, at least $20 more than this. I can't think of too many other blends offhand that would fit this category. I think for peat's sake, again, stronger peat profile, so different flavor. Same mouthfeel, I think would be has a superior taste to this, but it's like putting a lot of pepper on food. Stronger flavors can hide other things. So the extra peat in it may be the deciding factor there, but there you have it. If you're afraid of tariffs or you're looking to save a few bucks, the Barrowman Superior 12-year, not a bad bottle. Give it a try. I'm not upset that I did. Again, I don't make many Scotch cocktails, but if I were in the mood for a highball, I think this would make a fine highball. If I'm going to sit down and pour a larger Glencairn of whiskey, I'm probably going to opt for something else if I've got access to it. Definitely a step above some of the other really cheap scotches I've had, like J&B. But overall, yeah, for $29, definitely worth your time.